not just an American fast food generally, but also the term used to describe what happens to the human body when it's bombed, turning into hammer. Great military. So the secondary meanings of language are important to understand if you're going to analyze games. Combining university-level learning outcomes with entertainment is the principal challenge facing serious games at the post-secondary level. And overcoming this challenge requires attention to a number of factors. Active involvement and stimulation of all players, sufficient realism to convey the essential truths of the simulation, clarity of consequences and their causes in both rules and gameplay, and the repeatability and reliability of the entire process. Educational and domain experts must therefore be included at all levels of the game design process and not be simply viewed as content creators. In particular, agreement on an iterative assessment of 3 elements of the game design process will reduce the likelihood of educational content being lost. The purpose of the game, essentially acquiring skills or knowledge. The affordances of the gameplay, this is about learning outcomes or enjoyment, social interaction, for example, and the effects of gameplay, learning outcomes or enjoyment, for example. Without proper consideration to these elements throughout the design process, it is unlikely that specific learning outcomes would be achieved. This is a significant challenge considering that there is little empirical evidence that games are even capable of teaching what the educators think they can, due in part to the whole idea-ludus tension that's inherent in gameplay. One popular approach to overcoming this difficulty is to create learning environments that improve students' experiences, essentially a new media dollhouse. Given the popularity of massive multiplayer online role-playing games, educators have sought to leverage the open-ended nature of these environments for learning purposes. Virtual worlds are not necessarily games, although they do mimic many of the game elements. Second Life is perhaps the most well-known manifestation of this technology, with Campus Second Life providing sort of customized educational tools. Even here, though, players may game the system as people who now protest on Second Life campuses and block students from getting into rooms, which I think is actually a fabulous sort of way of using the technology. And as an aside to me, like many technologies that once seemed cutting edge, Second Life may already have seen its glory days. And if you've ever wondered or flown around Second Life recently, pretty much all you see are other academics looking for other academics to test what they think students want. Actually, no students there. So, using these games as object of study for the depiction of another option that we can also do, is use games as particular instantiations of historic events rather than as games in themselves. For example, some have theorized that many popular commercial games can be classified not by their genre or their technical features, but by their subject matter as defined by the liberal arts. So war and conflict, urbanism and territorial management, democracy and citizenship, urbanism, economy and trade, and the environment. And every time I read that sentence, all I can think of is gears of war as foreign relations and peace and post-conflict studies, or Pac-Man as resource acquisition. But it's an interesting idea. If you start using games as an object of study, they become fundamentally different animals. So rather than using them as teaching tools, use them as not a textbook, but as a teaching tool. I think the most important and promising avenue, though, is in the sort of constructionist approach that I mentioned before, rather than instructionist. Constructionists provide students with the means to build their own games rather than simply play someone else's. In order to design a game, not only do students need to develop and consider the contents of their game, synthesizing and evaluating the most pertinent elements of the topic. If you're going to do a game on the War of 1812, you need to start thinking about what you need to know about the